Dowell sacks have been an issue, and I'm not sure what you can do too much with scheme-wise on a bye week, but what did you guys try to concentrate on when you had them last week and this week to try to address that issue?
Yeah, most of them are coming up on third down. I think we have 16. I think 10 of the 16 are on third down. And you go back and you watch them all and you figure out why. And you start with a scheme, and then you start going to each individual position, whether it be offensive line, tight ends, running backs, quarterbacks, are they holding it too long? Or wide receivers not getting open, or we put them in the right situation as a coaching staff. So you evaluate all that and you work to correct it. Today was our third down day, so we got good work at it today.
Hey, Dal, how would you assess the way the offense has improved, or however you feel about the offense through 4 games?
We've done what we need to do 3 times, and 1 time we didn't. And our goal is to score more points than the opponent. No, I'm not a stat guy. I don't care about stats. I don't look at stats. I don't know anything other than that. I think that there's been areas, I think we played to our strengths as an offense. We're running the ball better than we did in the past here, and it's because of the players we have. I also think it helps when you have 2 athletic quarterbacks. There's definitely areas of improvement, but all of our focus right now is on Ole Miss and making sure that we continue to play to our players' strengths.
You mentioned playing to strengths. There are some players yesterday talked about feeling like they're starting to narrow down what they're best at. How, as an offensive coordinator, do you go about kind of narrowing down a playbook to what actually your strengths are, especially during a bye week when you can self-scout?
Yeah, the bye week now have become so much about like just getting healthy versus like there's the head coach does a practice schedule and he comes in and says, hey, this is what we're doing, all those things. What makes it in the NFL, you usually get 20 games. You get these preseason games, these long training camps. Things have changed because of sports science and other things. So you're constantly learning of what your players do well, and you're figuring them out, and you got to put them in those situations. And there's only so many situations you can put them in practice, and you got to figure out when it's off schedule, how will they be? Like we can give them a look on a scout team or prepare them for something, but we can't prepare them for every eventuality. So confidence is born through demonstrated ability. So they got to get out there on the field, and the team determines who it is on Saturdays.
What can you share about your quarterbacks and what that's looking like with those guys here this week?
We have 5.
What about the main 2?
Injury report comes out tonight. Is that correct? Yes.
Oh,
I like all 5 of them. I think I was proud of the way Robbie came in and played. I'm busting your chops. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I was happy the way Robbie played against Akron. He did a nice job. Played to his strengths. Was calm. He's obviously been well coached with the places he's been at Oregon and Auburn, and came here. He's a guy we have a lot of confidence in, and he did his job. And I was really pleased up the half outside of fumble with the way LaNorris was playing. So I'm excited about the 2 that are playing right now.
And generally speaking, how do you have to balance like when Robbie comes in and plays as well as he did against that team? And I guess you probably don't want to necessarily have a guy lose a job just because he got hurt. How do you sort of try to balance that?
Yeah, LaNorris Sellers is our quarterback. I will say that. But that's why we got Robbie, because we wanted someone that's experienced and that could come in and help this team. He was playing some at quarterback even when LaNorris was healthy, so it tells you what we think about Robbie that way. We expected him to play that way. He's been a guy that's played in SEC games and played well. And, going through that stuff, the ups and downs of playing this position in this conference is experience that we can't give him that. He has to go do that, and he's had that experience. So even for like helping with LaNorris, when he's been banged up, Robbie's been in the chair, been on the opposite side of that as well. So being a good teammate and even through this whole process before we named LaNorris a starter, when you have good players behind good players, it pushes them. As a coach, the bench is your biggest tool, and competition creates pressure, and pressure either it defines who you are. It makes you the best version of yourself most of the time, and so having 2 good players in that position really helps. And then Davis came in and played well against Akron as well, which Davis has played. He's got experience. He's really, really intelligent. So those guys being able to go in and play in game, it's what we see every day at practice, but you got to go do it, because on Saturday under the lights is different than on a practice field.
You guys in some of your offense have run somewhat of a triple option this year.
Yes.
Have you ever run a triple option before in your career? And how does it, with the skills and players you have, how does that work?
A little bit in Tennessee when we had Vince Young, but when I went to school, I was a player at Arkansas. And we had a quarterback named Matt Jones as a first round draft pick, and we had running backs like Darren McFadden and those guys, and DeCorey Birmingham. We did a lot of it back then, so it's really going. I give a lot of credit to Coach Nutt because that's what we did when I was a player, and I've never been in a situation where in the NFL you wouldn't do that because you'd be fired if you got your quarterback hurt. It's also why we go and sign Robbie Ashford because we knew Lenore Seller's strengths. And when you want to, I remember when I was in Cleveland talking to Kyle Shanahan, and Kyle said when they drafted RG3, they were trying to draft Russell Wilson because they thought their skill set was similar. He gets drafted, they end up drafting Cousins. But the vision of it was the offense doesn't change. You play to different strengths, so there's things that Robbie and Lenore do differently. But it gives you the ability where you don't have to throw away half your offense, because it does become a challenge when one's down and one's going, and you don't know if one's going and one is up. So it creates volume of offense, but you want guys to have the same skill set so the offense doesn't change. And you guys have heard me say this a million times, like getting good quarterback play is the other 10 guys to do their jobs. So continue to press those guys into that no matter who the quarterback is. But the triple option stuff goes back to Arkansas and Coach Nutt.
What stands out about the Ole Miss defense on film, or if you watched the Kentucky game last Saturday?
Yeah, they're an aggressive group. The front seven's really good. It's as talented as any group that we're going to face. And I think after the Kentucky game, I told you guys that defense at Kentucky was really good and really well coached, and got a ton of respect for Brad White. Some AD needs to hire him and get him out of the conference. But this is another huge challenge. The front, obviously, we're not doing some things offensively. Protection, those things that we're gonna have to work on. We're going to face an extremely talented front that's done a good job in recruiting, done a very good job in the transfer portal. These guys play hard, and the thing for those guys is they play complementary football in a different way than we play it. They play with a lot of leads. They've got a really explosive offense. So when you're playing with a lead, you get to rush the passer. It's almost like I go back to my days in Tennessee when we played the Colts, and they got Freeney and Mathis, and they got those two wideouts and Peyton Manning, and all of a sudden it's 14-0, and those guys get to pin their ears back and rush. And I thought Kentucky did a great job trying to play complementary football that way. But these guys play complementary football a different way, and they've married their three phases together very well.
I guess with that in mind, how important is it for you guys to be able to put together drives, sustain, and I guess finish with points too? Obviously, I know you want to do that against whoever you play, but is it even more critical against a team like you just described?
Yeah, I mean and I don't know what's going on with their offense. I just know that they're very good. I'm not dumb. I hear things and see things, and we get them some crossover tape. So we obviously know what's going on the other side. But for our side, it's do your job and execute and win your one-on-one matchups. And it is important. It is important to be able to convert third downs. It's an area we need to improve on. We haven't been good enough this season. It's continue to run the ball well. It's continue to create explosive plays and minimize the turnovers. Like, you can't give these guys short fields, and you need to convert third downs. You need to be able to run the ball well. And the other thing Kentucky did is they hit some explosive plays that you're going to have to do, and they won some one-on-one matchups. And so that element is always a huge challenge, but you're talking about playing complementary football in all three phases, and that becomes a bigger issue every week in this conference. Appreciate you guys.